Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jonah. I am with Discover, and today we are talking with Carlynn Greene. Carlynn, how you doing?
I'm doing good, and you?
Quite well. Super excited. We've done one event together, and I wish I had had that event years ago when I was applying for school. It's always so helpful. So, super stoked to dive in with you. For everyone watching, I'm going to just make sure everyone's in the right place, knows how the event is going to go. Please hop in the comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from, something you're excited to learn, maybe how you heard about Carlynn or how you heard about Discover. And also feel free to ask any questions throughout the event and Carlynn's presentation. If we don't answer them right away, we are not ignoring you. We have set aside a dedicated Q&A after the presentation to make sure we get to all those questions. So if we don't get to it right away, pop it back in there during the Q&A. And I know Carlynn has a lot she's going to share with us today. So if it's moving fast or you have to get up from the computer or life happens around you, don't fret. All of this will be available in a replay. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on the Discover event page, and it will also be emailed to you along with the course offer, which we'll talk about a little later. And just to make sure we're all in the right place, like I said, we are talking to Carlynn Greene today, and we are going to be talking about a parent's guide to a debt-free college degree for their kids. We'll cover several ways outside of student loans to graduating without debt. You will learn firsthand from someone who has won 30 scholarships debt-free for both undergraduate and graduate school. Carlynn Greene is a journalist, content creator, and financial aid coach who has helped families, students, and educators win millions of dollars in scholarships across the globe through her business, Scholarship Guru. She has personally won 30 scholarships debt-free for her own education from high school to graduate school. It's so awesome and so impressive, and I can't wait to dive in. So, Carlynn, I'm going to get out of the way and hand it over to you.
Yes, thank you for that lovely introduction.
Of
So
course.
I'd just like to go ahead and share my screen. Awesome. So hello, everyone. Again, my name is Carlynn, aka the Scholarship Guru. And so for today's webinar presentation, I will be covering 10 ways on how you can graduate debt-free like me and for all the other students who I've mentored over the years. I have helped students win scholarships and other forms of financial aid for about 5 years, ever since 2017. So I've been in this for the long run. So, first, I want to know what brings you here. Have you applied for financial aid but didn't get enough money? Were you perhaps ineligible for the FAFSA? Were you not approved to take out student loans? Are you perhaps a first generation student and you want to learn how to pay for your higher education? Or perhaps you're a parent who took out loans and you don't want for your kids to as well. And lastly, or perhaps you are a current college student, such as undergrad, graduate, PhD, whatever it may be. Just let us know in the comment section below. And as those comments are streaming in, I want to share with you guys this shocking, but honestly not shocking fact. It is predicted that by 2023 or 2024, the total student loan debt will reach $2 trillion. And we do not want that to happen for anyone here. So let's get into this webinar presentation. So first, I will be covering exams. So these are this is one form of this is one form of a way that can help you with lowering the cost of your college tuition. So, although many schools no longer require SAT and ACT scores to get admitted, many scholarships still do. So, shoot for a minimum of 1100 on the SAT and a minimum of a 24 on the ACT. Now, the reason being is that a lot of scholarships have their eligibility around this score range. This is somewhat higher if you are applying for STEM scholarships. So instead, aim for a minimum of like a 1300 on the SAT and a minimum of a 27 on the ACT. Now, of course, this is not leaving out my current college students here in attendance. So I will also be talking about what's called the CLEP exam. So if you are familiar with AP classes, advanced placement classes, you know about the AP exams. Well, the CLEP exam is fairly similar to that, and I believe it is actually cheaper, and many find it to be easier to pass and get enough credits in order to test out of certain classes that they need to graduate with. So make sure to look into that. And again, at the end of this webinar presentation, I will be linking everything that I mentioned. So make sure to stick around so you can get the full master list of all of that. So next, I want to talk about negotiating financial aid. Um, let's see here. Sorry, I'm just looking over my notes. So yes, negotiating financial aid. So there are various templates that I will be providing at the end of this presentation on how you can negotiate for financial aid, because even if you get a financial aid package offer from your university, that is actually not set in stone. You can negotiate for more aid. Also look into tuition waivers. So perhaps if you are like adopted, if you went through the foster care system, or perhaps you had a very significant hardship in your life, you can talk about these certain things to the financial aid department, and they may potentially give you a tuition waiver. There's also what's called your school's ombuds office. I don't think every single school has this, but a lot of schools do. So basically, these departments, they help with mitigating and managing, resolving certain issues that students have with their school. So let's say that you are awarded financial aid, but then for whatever reason it is suddenly taken away from you. Well, in that case, you would contact your ombuds office and try to get that given back to you, or perhaps you suddenly come across something in your life of where you need a lot more financial aid, and it's past the deadline for when you could have initially applied for a lot of the financial aid your institution normally offers. Again, you would contact your ombuds office, and they could potentially help you figure something out with your school. So next, there is raising money. A lot of you are probably familiar with GoFundMe's. And as you can see on your screen, I have an example of a student. You can type in that URL link there, but a student was able to raise over $70,000 for his GoFundMe after advertising it on Instagram and TikTok in just a matter of 2 days. So I highly encourage you guys to watch his video and study it from beginning to end, and study his GoFundMe page, the writing, and everything, so that you can potentially emulate his results. Because just imagine getting thousands of dollars in just 2 days without having to apply for scholarships or anything like that. Another tip I want to add on to this about raising money for your tuition and other expenses for school is to, when you are graduating high school or graduating college, send out emails, send out physical mail to your relatives, loved ones, family, friends, etc., telling them that you graduated, or perhaps telling them that you got these grades, like if you're on the A honor roll or AB honor roll after a certain semester or school year. Tell them about that, because this is what I did every single semester, and each time that I graduated high school and then undergrad. I told them that I was getting like a 4.0, that I just graduated, and I ended up getting like $5,000 worth of money from relatives and family friends because they were so proud of me. So make sure that you do that. So, the fourth way to pay for school is tuition reimbursement programs. So, many huge companies have what are called tuition reimbursement programs. Now, the benefits of these programs vary from business to business. So, for instance, as seen here, there's AT&T, Amazon, Bank of America, Home Depot, Starbucks, UPS, T-Mobile, and so on. So, with each of these businesses, some of them are different in a way of where these benefits are only reserved for if you are a full-time employee, or perhaps you are a part-time employee. And then also sometimes it's of where you have to work X amount of time in order to be eligible for the benefit, the tuition benefit. So let's say you have to work for 6 months or 1 year to finally qualify for it. Whereas other jobs, as soon as you start working for them, you are eligible. So again, at the end of this presentation, this webinar, I will link to the differences between each of these companies who offer these tuition opportunities, so you can know the differences and which ones are like better to work. Oh, sorry, better to work for if you are looking for a job. Okay. So, the fifth way to help pay for school is getting a housing job. So, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with RAs, resident assistants, or housing ambassadors, facility assistants. These are all people working under the housing department. I personally was an RA at my institution, the University of North Texas, for 2 years, and that fully paid for my housing, my food. It gave me a monthly stipend, and then I got $400 per semester to spend at campus restaurants. So that was awesome. I was always eating good. So make sure to look into these opportunities. And just so you guys know the differences between being an FA, an RA, and an HA. So essentially, when you are an sorry, sorry, I am so dehydrated today. But when you are an RA, you are like a community leader. You're helping to ensure that your residents feel a sense of community within that dorm, that residence hall, and you also serve as a form of security because sometimes there's crazy things that happen within these residence halls. And then as an FA, you are essentially like the maintenance workers assistant. You're going into rooms, fixing things that suddenly malfunctioned. And then as an HA, a housing ambassador, think of it similar to being like a real estate agent. You're giving tours to families and students who are trying to figure out what residence hall that they want to live in. And just so you know, the work-life balance for, in particular, being an RA for me was great because I only really worked like 30% of the time because for the most part, you're basically on call. Well, not on call. You're basically, how do I word this? You you work when you are called to work. And I lived in a residence hall of where I wasn't given many issues. So for the most part, I was just chilling and enjoying my day. So, next we have side hustles or starting a small business. So I was able to get about $25,000 per year from all the side hustles that I have. And if you are interested in knowing some of the side hustles I had, some of which include I did note taking. So, especially during exam season, like midterms, final exams, I take really, really good notes. And then I also create like the group chat for my classes and I share my notes. I don't charge people up front, but then after sharing my notes, I encourage people to donate to all the hard work I put together. And a lot of people ended up doing so. And I ended up getting like hundreds from that every single semester. So, note taking is one thing, essay editing. I mainly do this for scholarship essays, and then resume editing, application reviewing, photography, graphic design, web design. There's all these different skills that I have, and I highly encourage you to go to YouTube, go to Skillshare, whatever it may be, to learn these things because so much knowledge is out there for free and you can make some money off of it. Um, let's see. Also, I linked on this page. If you can just screenshot, actually, again, at the end of this presentation, I will share all the links mentioned within this webinar. Sidehustle.com/starter. It gives you more ideas on what type of side hustles you can have. So, the seventh way to save money in school is by being an education influencer, which is basically what I am. So, over the years, I have made, well, actually, just within this past year alone, I was able to make over, well, in the six-figure range as an influencer, an education influencer. And just to give you context for that, the majority of my income was coming from brand deals. So I work with major brands like Lowe's, Amazon, Adobe, Walmart, Hollister, all these major brands that most people know about. And if you think about it, a lot of these brands, they have like back to school campaigns, especially during the summer. So that is the time of when they are really pushing for and really reaching out to student-based influencers. And being a student-based influencer is so convenient because you are already, if you're watching this, you're already more than likely a student. So you might as well just advertise things that you already use as a student to perform well in school. So if you want to learn about that, I recently started an influencer marketing company called Edfluential. So I will talk about that again later in the master link document showing everything. So the eighth way, which is fairly obvious given that I am the scholarship guru, is to apply for scholarships. And again, later on in this webinar, I will discuss more into detail about this specifically. Now, as for the ninth way to pay for school, this consists of fellowships or being an RA, meaning a research assistant, which is different from being a resident assistant, or being a TA, a teaching assistant. So I was actually offered for graduate school an offer to be a research assistant, and that would have essentially gave me a half ride to graduate school, but I already had like other scholarships, enough scholarships, so I ended up turning down that offer, and it was given to someone else, which is awesome. So make sure to look in these opportunities, and these are more so geared for if you are a graduate student or a PhD student. And I also linked, as seen on the screen, that website called profellow.com. This gives you, like, once you sign up for their email newsletter, you will be given a master list PDF of all these fully funded graduate programs across the United States. So make sure to look into that. So the 10th way, and by the way, we are by far not done with this webinar because I have a lot to say, especially in regards to scholarships. But as far as the 10th way to help pay for college, this is through forgiveness programs and grants. So a lot of people don't know this, but there are actually scholarships that can pay off student loan debt. And as an example of this, I recently just had this student here who was able to win a student loan debt scholarship from Fab Aid Beauty, and the scholarship was worth up to $100,000. I'm not sure exactly what amount she got, but she won this back in November of 2021. So yes, you can, even if you already took out student loans, you can get those forgiven through student loan debt forgiveness programs or through scholarships. Also, I wanted to let you guys know that right now is actually the best time to apply for scholarships. A lot of the full rides and bigger awards have deadlines during this time frame. And as an example of this, as you can see on the screen, here are 4 scholarships that are literally due this week. So if you are eligible, I highly recommend that you get to it. So, as you can see on your screen, this is a partial list of some of the scholarships I've won, 16 out of 30 of them, 14 of which were as a high school student, and then the other 16 were as a undergrad slash graduate student. And here are some of the like screenshots from awards that I've won over the years from in 2020 and 2021. I no longer have a need for applying for scholarships because now my graduate education is paid for. So, and also here are some of the faces, as well as the amount of money that other people have won across the globe. So these people span from various majors, various demographics, various states. For example, the student to the far left hand corner, upper left, he's an art student. The far bottom right corner student, he's a accounting student. Everywhere else in between, I have helped students win scholarships anywhere from partial to full ride scholarships. And that is why the motto for what I do is less owing loans, more owning scholarships. And so I also wanted to highlight this student here. Her name is Sarah. So she had applied for like over a dozen scholarships and she could never win. And it's crazy because she had highly exceptional grades and extracurriculars and everything else in between, but she could never win. And that was until she came across what I do. And she was finally able to win back to back scholarships, literally 7 scholarships in a row. She was able to win after being exposed to my advice. And then I also wanted to highlight this student who you saw earlier. His name is Chris. He was able to win the $100,000 Dr. Pepper tuition giveaway scholarship, which was highly competitive. Over 100,000 people applied. And similar to Sarah, who I just showed you guys earlier, he was a highly exceptional student, valedictorian of his class, 6A high school, which means he went to a really big high school like I did in Texas. And even with that, you would think if you're valedictorian, you get a full ride. Well, that was not the case for him. So he still had to apply for scholarships, and he won this his sophomore year of college. So just know that this particular award that Dr. Pepper gives out, you are eligible even if you are in high school or a current college student. And I also wanted to highlight that with this particular scholarship, as well as the one I showed you guys earlier from that student who won the student loan debt scholarship, both of which required video submissions. A lot of scholarships instead, most scholarships require essay submissions, but his required and hers required video submissions. And within my online course, which I will be talking about later, I have several videos specifically on how to go about a video submission because there's a lot of technical elements that go into it to make it stand out. Now, when it comes to my approach for teaching others about scholarships, I always think back to this famous quote: "Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime." Now, many times people approach me asking if I can find a scholarship for them. However, my main focus is teaching you how to win because that will help you much more in the long run. Also, as for the likelihood to get a full ride to school, according to national data, only 1.5% of students in bachelor degree programs got enough scholarships and grants to cover 100% of the cost of attendance. However, with my stats, about 30% of those who have contacted me with their wins were able to receive enough in scholarships alone or accompanied by grants for a full ride to school. Also, using these strategies for applying for scholarships, I personally was able to obtain every single internship and job I have ever applied to, meaning I never faced rejection. Because the thing about scholarships, if you can master applying for scholarships, applying for grants, getting things like getting a job, getting an internship are going to be so much easier. I honestly find getting a job much easier than winning a scholarship. And so, as an example of this, I recently just finished up my internship with ABC News Live and worked alongside Good Morning America. And I also had another internship, both of which were all expenses paid. So they paid for travel, um, housing, all that. They were both all expenses paid. I had another one with NBC in New York, but of course that one was canceled due to COVID, but that still counts because I was given the opportunity. So before I got started with all of what I do to help students with financial aid, I wanted to share with you guys my origin story. So back in 2017, I won this scholarship from Methodist Charlton Medical Center, a hospital that I was volunteering at for several summers. And when my mom, she opened up my mail, which showed my scholarship award letter, and she was crying. She was very emotional. It was about $4,500 of scholarship. And so after I saw her reaction, that was what initiated me to create my platform, create my business to help other students and families across the globe to graduate debt free like I am. So, now I want to go over some of the most common scholarship misconceptions. So, for one, winning multiple scholarships is about strategy and positivity. It is not so much so based on luck like the lottery, and a negative mindset won't get you anywhere. Two, as I mentioned earlier, I well, two, I did not qualify for much FAFSA money because my parents made over six figures collectively, but that did not stop me from winning scholarship money. There's also this misconception here that says you can only win scholarships your senior year of high school. Well, the very first scholarship I won, it was a small local one. I won that my junior year of high school. And then again, I won a whole bunch of scholarships, over 10, as a current college student. So again, this is false. I also wanted to highlight some scholarships that I won. So as you can see on your screen here, in 2019, I won a scholarship from Floyd Mayweather. He gives one specifically for women in media. And then another from Future, the rapper, he was giving a scholarship for students in a specific state of where he was touring in. And he was in Texas at the time. And then I also won a scholarship from the US Congress. So I want for you guys to get used to hearing the word congratulations over and over again, like I have, because I really want for this to also become your reality. There's a reason why I've been doing this for nearly 5 years now, because the student loan debt crisis is honestly just getting out of hand. And if anything, I wish that college was free, but unfortunately, we live in a country of where that's probably Never going to happen. So moving on to more misconceptions, many believe that you can only win scholarships if you excel academically or athletically, or even that only certain majors, such as those doing the STEM pathway, can win scholarships. Well, again, this is false. There are scholarships that do not require GPA, test scores, transcripts, etc. Instead, it may be more so dependent on things like your leadership, community service, writing contests, or even having certain talents. Also, as you saw earlier with the scholarships I've won, they were predominantly from for journalism students, which falls under the liberal arts category. And additionally, I have helped students from a variety of non-STEM or non-journalism majors such as art, business, law, you name it. Now, as far as the scholarships I have helped other people win, approximately 70% of winners study in the US, and then 30% study outside of the US. So, as an example of this, the very first student that I helped win a scholarship back in 2017 was, in fact, an international student from the DR Congo in Africa studying on a full ride in Ghana. And then he recently notified me sometime last year that he got another full ride as a result of what I do, this time for grad school, studying on a full ride in the UK, the United Kingdom. And just yesterday, I got a message from another international student, this time from Nigeria, studying in the United States at Illinois College. And she was able to win $92,000 in scholarships, which is amazing. So I want you all to know that the advice that I provide is applicable and actionable to any student, whether you're in the US or not, no matter your study concentration, no matter your grade level classification, and of course, no matter your racial, gender, or religious background. Now, tying back into these two scholarships that I won, recently I had two students, in fact, win the same exact scholarship I won from the US Congress just a year later. And then another student I mentor, she was able to win that same scholarship from Floyd Mayweather's foundation. And also remember this scholarship here from Future. Well, guess what? I was actually ineligible. Yeah, I was ineligible at first. See, the eligibility stated that you had to be from a specific city of where he would be touring in for that particular night. However, he was touring in Austin, and I am based all the way up in like Denton, Texas, which is like closer to the Dallas area. And Texas itself is like 5 states in one. It's a really big state. And so I emailed them and said, "Hey, can I still apply even though I'm basically ineligible?" And they said, "Yeah." And then I ended up winning. I got free concert tickets to see him and Meg Thee Stallion, YG, and all these other famous rappers. So now you're probably asking yourself, how can you too win scholarships? Well, you need something what I like to call scope. Let me explain. So, scope stands for strategy, competitiveness. I am so dehydrated. Oh my gosh. Organization, positivity, and endurance. Now, feel free to take a screenshot of this because I'm not going to read through it. But yeah, you can use this for future reference. Now, I also wanted to cover a lot of the scholarship mistakes and scholarship problems that prevent people from even applying or winning, even if they have applied for like 100 scholarships but never win. So, some of the most common scholarship mistakes are as follows. Number one, thinking scholarships are just a matter of filling out the paperwork. No, you got to have a strategy. Two, applying for scholarship scams. Yes, unfortunately, you heard that right. Three, applying for only highly competitive scholarships. This was the main mistake I made, and that's why I teach people how to identify their territory and their domain. Number four, not focusing on your scholarship essay, which is the most important part of your application. Five, thinking like your competition and not outside the box. This is so important because you don't want your application to sound like everyone else. It needs to be memorable. Six, not thinking from the point of view of the scholarship decision committee. Seven, not being organized and rushing last minute applications. And lastly, eight, missing deadlines and not paying attention to time zones. See, I live in Texas. We run on Central Time. And there have been so many times where I applied for scholarships running on Eastern time, like in New York, and I thought I was on time because I was applying last minute, but I was actually an hour late and I ended up wasting my time. Don't do that. Don't be like me. So, as for some common scholarship problems, one, you keep applying, but you never win. Two, you don't have the proper research skills needed to find these opportunities. Three, you don't have strategic communication skills. Four, you don't have visual presentational skills. Five, perhaps you have strong academics and curriculars, but weak writing skills. Six, strong academic style writing skills, but not so much persuasive writing. See, with the American school system and perhaps other school systems in other countries alike, they don't really teach us persuasive writing, which is so important if you're trying to convince someone to get you a job, get you an internship, grant, scholarship, whatever it may be. So I thoroughly teach you that throughout this course, which of course I will be mentioning later on. Let's see. Number seven, advice you have been provided before regarding scholarships is generic and never really helped you win. And lastly, number eight, you simply don't apply or give up because you feel overwhelmed or discouraged after facing rejection, which you should not give up if you face rejection. Rejection is part of the process. You learn so much from your mistakes. So, where do I come in with all this? And how is my advice any different from perhaps what you have already heard perhaps what you have already heard from others? Well, let me explain. Now, typically with external scholarship advice, it tends to be very generic and personally never helped me win either. I had to figure out this whole process myself and come up with my own strategy. Also, external advice doesn't really go deep into analyzing as to why a scholarship application was chosen as a winner over the others. Additionally, you may be referred to scholarships that are simply a waste of your time and are way too competitive to even apply for in the first place. So, again, what I do all ties back into give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. Now, as an example of these additional Oh, okay, no. But yeah, so as you can see here, this is a testimony from one student who is enrolled in my online course. She was able to win an $1,000 grant and a fellowship, which I said earlier. Fellowships are like a mixture between a scholarship and a job that basically fully or partially pays for your graduate or PhD education. And also, there's this student here. She was able to win $85,000 in scholarships. One of those scholarships in particular was from Amazon. Amazon has a scholarship for future engineers worth $40,000. And I believe that deadline was earlier this month in January. So kind of missed that, but make sure to apply if you're eligible again. And she attends Howard University at HBCU. Another HBCU student here from Tuskegee this time, she was able to win over $400,000 in scholarships, which is way more than me or any other students I have mentored over the years. So I am super, super proud of her. There's also this student, Deja. She was able to win the Taco Bell Live Moss Scholarship worth $5,000. It varies from $5,000 to like $25,000. And this student was able to win a scholarship from Ford. Another student won a scholarship from Virgin Galactic Aerospace Engineering, and she was, in fact, a senior in college. A lot of people think that once you're in your senior year, you can't really apply for scholarships, but she's a living testimony that you can, and so am I, because the majority of the scholarships I won as a current college student were my junior and senior year. And then there's also this student, Zoe. So she is a law school student, and she was able to win a $10,000 scholarship. And another testimonial, well, two more testimonials. International students from one from Singapore, she was able to win $60,000 in scholarships, and this student from Indian student studying in Europe was able to win scholarship money as well. So here are some of my missions as to why I am doing what I do. I want to make higher education more accessible, diversify career fields, lessen the socioeconomic gap, change lives for the better, lower the loan debt crisis because it's getting out of hand. And lastly, lowering dropout rates. So, how can I help you? Well, let's find out. Oh, I went too fast. There we go. So, I offer my online course, The Scholarship Algorithm. As you can see on your screen, it is broken up into four separate parts. So, the first part talks about finding scholarships that you're more likely to win, teaching you the research skills needed to find these opportunities. Second part talks about optimization and organization, how to effectively go about um, speeding up your process because applying for scholarships, a lot of times people give up on doing it because it seems oh my gosh, too time consuming. So I made sure to have a part of where you know all the keyboard shortcuts and all the tips and hacks I use to make this process a lot less time consuming. And then the third part talks about writing your essay, which again is the most important part of your application. And the fourth part of the course talks about filling out the application as well as how to use psychology with your application, and how to go about having effective letters of recommendation, which is like the second most important part of scholarship applications. And as you can see here, here are screenshots from what the course will look like part by part. Also, I felt the need to share this. According to data conducted by a financial aid researcher, only 0.1% of all undergraduate students receive $25,000 or more in scholarships. However, with my results of those undergrad students who I've helped win, approximately 25% won $25,000 or more in scholarships. So, if you too want to be part of that 25% of those who won $25,000 or more, or those 30%, or the 30% of students who won full rides, I highly encourage you to enroll in my online course, The Scholarship Algorithm. Now, there are several options, and you can also get the option to have my personalized services bundled in, which include essay editing, interview coaching, application reviewing, personalized advising, and all these other things bundled in. And this can also be helpful for not just scholarship applications, but also grant applications. If you are applying for internships or jobs, like if you want to, in particular, be a resident assistant like I was, I can give you interview coaching on how to go about that so you can increase your chances of getting that job and getting your housing and food and all these other benefits paid for. So, all these benefits for the course. And here are the pricing models. So there's the VIP Master, which includes everything, all the bonuses and the personalized services. The VIP Mini Master, which includes 60% of the course videos, and then the personalized services, and then the basic and basic Mini Master. Now, of course, I'm not going to sell it to you guys at this price. So, since you are in attendance today, you can get it for $100 off using this promo code BASIC100 off if you are just wanting the basic course, which includes the book and the bonuses. I mean, not the book, the course and the bonuses. And then if you want the VIP version, which includes all of the personalized services in it, then that promo code is TSA 100% off to get it for $6.99. And also feel free to take a screenshot of this. This includes like more so of a breakdown of what each of my personalized services entail. And I also wanted to throw in here my professional background in journalism, communications, writing, as well as my credibility. As I showed earlier, I worked for ABC News Live / Good Morning America. A lot of the scholarships I won were from accredited, nationally recognized professional organizations within journalism. So everything of what I do has been verified and legit. And also, I am a what's it called? Contributor for Teen Kids News. So watch me on there. Now, is there a guarantee that you will win with my advice? No, but there are other guarantees. I mean, there are other benefits and outcomes to enrolling in my online course and using my advice, such as getting an internship and a job, because the process of applying for those opportunities are very similar to scholarships. Two, strategic communication skills. Those types of skills will really increase as a result of this. Overall financing, financial literacy, and research skills as well. And additionally, as I talked about earlier, scholarship applications are basically almost the same, identical to what I have seen with grant applications I've applied to for my business. So I recently won this $50,000 grant from Macro. And if you're not familiar with Macro, they are a production company that is behind some major films um, uh, featuring actors like Viola Davis and Denzel Washington, like their movie Fences or Just Mercy with Michael B. Jordan. So I will be creating my own original show, of course, centered around school life and education. So look forward to that. Hopefully, it can air on like Netflix or something. But yeah, so I won that grant, and then also this $15,000 grant from LinkedIn, and highlighting this student again who was able to get a fellowship and a grant for her education after enrolling in the course. Now, I know that the course is very pricey. However, I want you to take into consideration this. Let's say that you spend $499, $399 on the online course, and then as a result, you win $125,000 in scholarships like I did, or perhaps $103,000 in scholarships like Chris did. Also, I wanted to talk about this. Almost 14% of the US population has student loan debt, and on average, it takes 16 years to pay that all back. And again, right now is the best time to apply for scholarships because those that give away more money, like the full rides, have deadlines right around this time. I literally had someone who invested in what I do for her nephew. And she too, she majored in journalism like 30 years ago at NYU, just like me. However, she didn't really have much of any luck with scholarships, and unfortunately had over till this day in her 40s or her 50s, she still has over $100,000 in student loan debt. So I really don't want this to also be the case for you guys. See, there are so many financial literacy deserts of where many people simply do not know how college financial aid works, especially scholarships, because I don't know about you, but my high school did not really teach me about scholarships. They mainly talked about the FAFSA. I made sure to say that right because sometimes I say FAFSA. But yeah, this is why I do what I do. And one thing that I like to do when students win scholarships as a result of using my advice, I interview them via Zoom and ask about their experience with scholarships. And again, they say that their high schools did not teach them. So I'm really trying to get like my online course and everything of what I do available in school districts across the globe. So, are you ready to increase your chances of winning scholarships by 10 times more? You now have 24 hours to get the master course, whether that is the basic version or the VIP version with all the services bundled in at a fraction of the cost. And I hope to see you in my classroom. So, yes, any other questions, please let me know. And also, as I mentioned earlier in this presentation, if you want the master list of all the links mentioned on the top 10 ways on how to pay for college outside of loans, then make sure to email me or DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is at Carly100, CARLE 100, and then I will send you it.
Awesome. Carolyn, thank you so much. And first off, everyone, please drop in the comments, ask any questions you have. I saw you have quite a few already. Thank you for being so active in there. But we have a little more time here to ask some questions. I did want to address a couple questions just related to the course while other questions roll in. So one question, is it lifetime access? Is there a limited time access that you have for the course?
Yes, so the course, you will have access to it for 1 year. However, it also comes with the scholarship likelihood calculator and
Mhm.
then basically the textbook for the course. So you'll have access to that for a lifetime.
Awesome, awesome. So the course itself is limited, but those resources you have for lifetime. And uh, Shea T was asking how long will the code be valid? That was for 24 hours, right? That discount.
Well, I said 24 hours, but I can extend it to a week.
Okay, so that's there for a week. And for everyone as well, the links to the course are in the comments, they're in the description, and they'll be emailed to you along with the replay. And one other question I had for the course, is there a community involved in the course? Is there a place where you can bounce ideas off people aside from you, or is it just you and the course?
Well, as far as the course, there's no particular community within it, but I can build that. But as far as a community outside of that, I do have a advising group chat via Discord that you can join.
Awesome. And then let's dive into these questions because we had a whole bunch rolling in while you were talking. And anyone, if I don't get to your question right away, please pop it in the comments again so I don't miss it. But I thought this was a great question here coming from BK Lynn Carey. And it is, are the high school scholarships for attending private school for tuition or just free money for any student to use for any purpose? So are these scholarships really rigid as far as where and how you use the money, or is it a little more flexible?
So it depends on the scholarship. Some scholarships might say of where it can only be applied to that particular institution, whereas other scholarships, they give the money directly to you in your bank account.
Got you. Okay. And then I thought this was a really relevant question from Cool Cat Cool. Do you have anything, tips, and advice for community college? So, can you still use any of these scholarships for community college, even though it's less money, or is that not really a thing?
Yes, you can still win scholarships while in community college, and I would advise you if you're trying to go from community college to a four-year school to really look into institutions that offer pretty good financial aid for transfer students. I believe my university, the University of North Texas, does, so that might be a school to look into.
Okay. Okay. And then question coming in from Katia. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong. What is the biggest tool which you feel helped make you stand out over other applicants?
Biggest tool, I guess the biggest part of my application that's made me stand out would be my essay. A lot of times people think that when you have a scholarship essay or even a college admissions essay, you have to talk
Mhm.
about your traumas in life. But I want for you guys to think about it, since people have this misconception that you have to talk about your traumas or very tragic and personal information to you. They might get desensitized to hearing that over and over again with each
Ah,
application. Is similar to how, like, when we watch the news and we see too many negative things going around the world, we feel less likely, less inclined to watch the news. So make sure to be like a breath of fresh air with your writing and to talk about your trials to your triumphs, how you were able to overcome that.
okay. So sometimes the tropes that everyone falls into, it's okay to step out of them because that'll help you stand out.
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. And then wonderful question from Jocelyn Green. Green, how long does it take to get through the course? A lot of these deadlines are approaching for scholarships. If someone got it now, will they still be able to get through the course and apply those lessons to the current scholarship period?
Yes, so the course runs for about 5 hours, but of course, I encourage you to rewatch some of the videos throughout
Right.
it, really retain the information seen throughout it. But yeah, 5 hours.
Okay, awesome. So it's super doable to go through it and apply it this year. And then got a question coming in from Holly. My daughter is a junior. What is the best time to apply for a scholarship? For example, is there such a thing as applying too early?
Right now.
Right
Right now,
now.
yeah, because as I said earlier in the presentation, the very first scholarship I won was my junior year of high school, and if she was even younger than that, your daughter, uh, she would be even more equipped to winning scholarships because the earlier you get acquainted and familiar with the process, the less likely you are to make mistakes and know the do's and don'ts of what works for your application and what doesn't.
Awesome. Well, and so that's for a junior. I want to tag on because last event you mentioned something that I didn't expect. If you're a senior, is there such a thing as applying too early? Is there a strategic time to dive in to applying like closer to a deadline, anything like that that you found?
So, your senior year of high school is by far the best time to apply for scholarships because most scholarships you have to be like a senior in high school in order to be eligible. However, as far as when to apply for them, Of course, you want to meet the deadline, but try to not apply too early. So, like, let's say the deadline is in January, but you applied months ago. But in between that time frame, you experienced something that was like life changing or could really help your application stand out more. Well, the thing about it is that once you submit your scholarship application, a lot of times you cannot update it and have that new information reflected. So, it's sometimes better to apply closer to the deadline.
Right. And so if there's cool things you're doing closer to the deadline, or you're going to have more that bolsters your application, it's worth waiting.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. And I think we got most the question. Oh, the other two questions we had here were very specific to working with you, directly with you. I think you mentioned that you can work directly with you, but I had a question. There was a question: can you like work one on one with a student and a person? Do you offer those kind of relationships? And also a little more about what essay editing entails when you're involved in that way.
Yes, so I offer personalized advising on my website, scholarship-guru.com, so you can book an appointment there. And then I also offer essay editing. So with the essay editing, it goes beyond just like grammar and sentence structure. It really just helps to ensure that the essay flows better.
Mm.
Oh, excuse me. I can't really explain it. Sorry, I need water. Oh, but
I'm
yeah,
having yeah, I'm in the same place today.
yeah, I just woke up and just went straight into this webinar.
Yeah.
But, I can send you, like, a demo version of a before and after of editing a certain client's essay so you can get a better sense of what it looks like.
Awesome. Okay. And then one more question up coming in very relative to the course and stuff. If we do the VIP master program, how much personal time will you spend with us? Do you have a specific allotted time that each student gets, or what's that look like?
So for the okay, so there's several services within the VIP Master. So specifically for interview coaching, I will designate about like 30 minutes for that. And then for what's it called? Application reviewing, that depends on the time frame of how much paperwork is within that particular application, as well as essays, because essays are like can be 500 words, 1,000 words, so it
Right.
all depends on length. And then, what's the other service I do? Advising. So that's typically 30 minutes per session, and that can be like per week.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We got to wrap up for time, but I wanted to sneak in one more question before we end. And please, everyone, if you're watching, hop in the comments. Thank Carlynn for her time, for her expertise, and for sharing all of this. Also, go check out her other event. It's on YouTube. If you search her name and discover Teachable Discover, you'll see that other event. It's super helpful and a little more geared towards students, I think, versus like help for parents. So highly recommend checking out both. And please like and subscribe to the Discover channel. If you learned something, if you had a good time today, we're trying to continually bring creators out here who are helping us grow with our business, with our scholarships, with all manners of life and getting better at it. But before we wrap up today, I did want to ask a question a little more to the mental side of this process, which is rejection.
Oh gosh.
Because you're gonna get rejected, I'm sure, because you throw a bunch of stones out and a few
Mhm.
land. Do you have any advice for the young student who's going out there on how to deal with rejection? Because it can be so hard to take that, but you have to deal with it to get through this process. So, as far as that mental aspect, what do you suggest?
Be consistent, and when you face rejection, seek constructive criticism
Mm.
from the scholarship committee their scholarship that you are applying to. Sometimes they may respond, sometimes they don't. Typically, you'll get a response if it's like a local or state level scholarship, but if it's like nationally competitive and has like a whole bunch of applicants, they typically don't respond with feedback, constructive criticism. And then if that doesn't work, you can reach out to me and I can give you like constructive criticism on your application. But please, please, please do not let rejection get to you, because even though I've won 30 scholarships, I've been rejected by so many
Right.
opportunities, especially when I was in high school, because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But then once I got to graduate school and I had already these prior years of experience on how to go about um, applying for scholarships and everything, every graduate school scholarship I applied to, I ended up winning. And if you know anything
Mm.
about getting scholarships for graduate school, it's a lot harder than undergrad or getting in your high school senior year. So I have come so far, and I don't want for you guys to let rejection, don't internalize it. You learn so much from your mistakes and seek that constructive criticism.
I love that. So rejection turns into getting better. That's how we do it over time, right? I love that so much. Well, thank you again so much for your time. For everyone watching, once again, please hop in the comments, show Carlynn that appreciation. And where can people find you if they want to know anything else? Just to call it out once more.
Yes, you can email me at Greene Carlynn, Greene, Carlynn, Carlynn at gmail.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram, DM me if you have any additional questions about the course or anything else. And my Instagram is Carly100, Carle 100, 100.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.